Beautiful, beautiful.
Yay!
All right. So, welcome everybody to another episode of Geek Vibes Interview. And today I'm graced with two guests this time and video. This is the first. First guest, we have an actress, producer, director, star of huge franchises such as Godfather and Rocky, Talia Shire. How are you doing?
Okay. And a mother. And a mother.
And a mother, yes.
That's a franchise. Okay.
That's the best
For sure.
role. That's
Right.
the best job of them all, I think.
That's
And
the
I actually had that on there, and I don't know why I didn't say it. And my second guest is a Renaissance man. It seems to be actor, composer, director, musician, writer, producer. You've seen him in Princess Diaries and The Virgin Suicides. Robert Schwartzman, how you doing?
Thank you very much. And a son.
Yes,
and the son.
My most important job.
Wow.
Yeah, and this a big deal that after researching and watching and seeing all the names connected, Rad, I think that's what we're here for, the re-release of 1986's Rad. From top to bottom, it seems to be with this re-release, a family affair. Your husband produced it, and your name was the production company, right? Talia Him too.
That's right.
You also were in the movie. Your stepson shot the opening and ending.
John Schwartzman did that as a 19-year-old young film student. Is that not brilliant stuff?
It is, and I really appreciated those beginning ending credits because it let the art form of BMX breathe, and you got to kind of see beforehand and afterwards why the people love the sport so much. And then we have Robert, that you are co-founder of Utopia, which is a distribution company that's re-releasing this film. So I think I want to start with what goes into the restoring and the re-releasing of an older movie.
Yeah. First of all, we're so excited to get to this point where we can re-release the movie Rad. I think that we as a family have waited a long time to get to this point. And fans online will ask, well, what took so long? And those kinds of questions come up. There's really no specific answer other than here we are. And I think all this this time added up to a better release that we're getting now with this film. It wasn't rushed out. It wasn't done in a way that attention to detail wasn't there. But with restoring a movie, luckily the elements that we had were in really good condition. So we didn't dig this movie out of the ground and have to figure out which scenes went together or something. Everything was pretty well stored, which my mom, to her credit, she really took the time to make sure the movie was cared for. So we were working with really good material, but it's a technical process because you're taking it from a physical, from film, and you're transferring it to digital. We had a company called Photochem that did all the work for us, and they're a very big company they're doing the new Christopher Nolan movie. They're a very big post-production company. But like anyone in this world, you find communities of people that really love Rad, that are no way, oh my God, Rad, how can I help? What can I do? So we had a lot of fans and friends in the post-production world that helped us. But it involves a lot of cleanup. We went every frame of the movie, we have to clean up any dust or hairs that are on it, scratches. Literally, you're literally going one frame at a time. Think about it, 24 frames per second, right? That's film. So per second, there's 24 frames. Multiply that by the running time of the movie, and that's one frame at a time. There's also the color grading that goes on. So every shot has to be, you have to darken, lighten, look at exposure, look at saturation. So, some of the actors sometimes maybe there's certain redness in the eyes or underneath here. We had to sort of, find ways. It's not painting it out, but it's just a technical process. So the reason I'm giving you the extensive, what went into it, because I think it's good for everyone to know who gets to enjoy the movie today, that we really took our time to make it right. And also when the movie came out, which is surprising, it only had a stereo mix. And we live in a world today where there's 5.1, 7.1, and Atmos mixes. So we had to restore the audio and rebuild it to be a 5.1 mix.
Oh, wow.
So not everyone will care about all these things, but we care about it. And I think that it's important that if you're going to do it once, do it right. So anyway, Utopia was involved in that process as far as like helping get the movie on its feet and to you, to the audience. We have a great, DVD that just came out, 4K. We're going to do a bigger Blu-ray and DVD in the fall and next year. We had a theatrical release planned, and we were going to go to South by Southwest, which was a rare occasion to celebrate a library title. We had to postpone all that due to reasons everybody knows now. But we're hoping we can revisit next year and do some of these great events. So anyway, RAD is, we just want to keep the momentum now that we have it up and running. So it's really exciting. And I personally feel like a whole other emotional connection to this movie, given my dad was a producer on it and he passed away many years ago. So I get to come in now and help run with it now and help my mom and help the family. So I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, and go ahead, Talia.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, that's what's the movie came out in 1986, so Robert was only 4. And then we lost Jack 6 years later. So what this also is, and it's very meaningful for me to watch this, is for a son to re-meet his father on the level of work. When today Robert is doing much the same thing. So it's actually profound to watch this. So and I'm absolutely joyous because in fact Robert did protect this on all the levels, the visual, the color, the sound. So I can't tell you what I feel joyous, and I know the fans of RAD will understand that part of this new love and Robert's caring about this movie will be in this DVD. It's pretty special.
Yeah, and I can speak to that. I had a chance to view it, and I remember I was born in '88, so when I saw the movie,
baby,
yeah, when I saw the movie as a kid, it was way after it had originally released. But now watching it again, like you said, it looks amazing. The colors pop, and it's also for people that don't know, the story is about. Crew Jones, a small town kid determined to win an infamous BMX race set on a nearly impossible course known as Hell Track. And I think what kind of sets the film apart is, from today's time, is it has a pure meaning to it without trying too hard. You have this kid trying to overcome the odds, and his mom, just wants the best for him. So, hey, I want you to take the safer route and go do your SATs. And
what's your SATs? Yes, poor Rob heard me say that. Yes, okay.
So how did that movie for you as a mother? How did that role for you did it mean more? Did it make you feel some type of way? Did it affect anything outside of your personal life?
I'll tell you, many years later, when I did say to Robert and Jason and Matthew, but your SATs. I was the mother that said that. But the wonderful thing about the mother, and for me as well, and you used a word, innocence and purity, there is that in this movie. And you have to support your child. Always, always, when they want to express their gifts, especially in the context of this town, which is having a kind of exploitation by big business, right? You have to do that. And I was in watching the movie again, I was very moved by that young people, by the way, right now, all young people can go up against corporations. They can take a position and they can do it with their talent. That's why I love the movie. Okay, I'm long-winded, but anyway.
Oh, that's
and
fine.
how were your SATs, by the way? No.
Well, I took it once, but I took the ACT to stay in state, and I got in school, and
No,
I did okay.
They're getting rid of the SATs, by the way. No more SATs.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah. But that's what that movie had in it, in its innocence, in its wonderful innocence. It was extremely powerful for young people.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And with that said, for Robert, I mean, you know, you were young when it were released. So as you got older and were able to view it, did a movie like this have an impact in you, whether it be love for maybe BMX or an appreciation of BMX?
I'll tell you, so I'm the youngest in my family, and my older siblings we're at an age where rad maybe was more for their demographic. I ended up watching anything my brothers watched. So whatever when you're a little brother, you just watch whatever.
Yes.
I didn't have a choice. I just like sat there and watched whatever they put on. But I'll say this, I think when I think about rad, well, first of all, I always loved the part of the movie where they make their own T-shirts and they have to make their own merchandise.
The little sister, right.
I like the sister character. I really did. I liked when they all worked together, all the kids in town, to try to overcome this new hurdle that was put in place, which was unfair. And then that always rings a bell. Obviously, the backflip the crew does was like always stands out. Like when he does it in the race, it's such a goosebumps moment. And then the music, so rad and the music I'm connected to the music. A lot of my life was music prior to getting involved more in filmmaking. Like I write and would tour and make albums for a lot of my like adult life. And the music in rad is so timeless. Like the soundtrack is incredible. And it's just like, that's the stuff I really think about. And I love 80s music, so I just think it has an amazing soundtrack. And the Send Me an Angel sequence when they're dancing on bikes during the prom.
Oh my God.
It's just so epic. And then the opening sequence, you talked about the stuff John shot. It is like some of the better visual. I mean, not that the other DP shot the whole movie and did a great job, but John captured something really magical in the opening. And you get chills when you hear that Break the Ice like synthesizer come in. And John Farnham, the guy who sang those songs, the original songs, Break the Ice, Thunder in Your Heart, and then the ballad, it's so good. Like his voice is it's like that rock and roll, that powerful rock and roll voice. Anyway, so yeah, I geek out on all that stuff. I mean, but as a kid, I just remember all the music so well. And obviously all the stunts. But I was too young to actually get on a bike and actually try to replicate like the backflip.
Right.
But
yeah,
anyway.
But this was the beginning of a sport that turned into an Olympic sport. This movie was that beginning that said, wait a minute, this might be something really great, and it turned out to be the case. So
yeah, and by the way, it's not like there weren't. I mean, if you think about all the BMX bike movies out there, it's not like there's tons of them. You know what I mean? Rad was really an original
first
at that time, and I think that we all have moments in our life that inspire us to do something specific based on what we watched or heard, music we heard, a feeling we had, and then we ran with it. Right. And I think rad was that for a lot of BMX bike professionals, from that time on. So I mean, really, it's an amazing thing to have a movie that celebrated that sport and that lifestyle in a way that was really authentic and meaningful.
Yeah, and I remember the other day I was looking up a list of BMX movies, and Rad was at the top of every list.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to see why when you watch the movie, because it like I said before, it just shows like it's a movie that, unlike other sports movies, it lets the sport shine throughout the entire film, like with the dance scene and the beginning and the multiple races. Usually a lot of movies focus on it's hard to say, but focus on the story. This movie let the story come out on its own through them trying to make this win this race, and it's very unique in how it's done, because you don't see it anymore.
Right.
And,
Also,
and scary. That was, by the way, when I was, and Hal Needham, our director, and you know, he's passed away, but he was known for doing extraordinary stunts. And so that day when we were shooting Hill Track, I've got to tell, and now I realize I was there. I was scared to death. I was scared. Those kids were way up there, these great writers, Eddie Fiola. But I mean, and it was a marvel to see their skill and their talent. No accidents. It was quite something.
also, you know, today we live in a world where we're very connected and social media and all these things. We have these tools that really bring, we can find so much at the click of a button. You know, I think that when I go online and look at Instagram videos, I see a lot of, I love watching music videos where people are playing piano or violin or dancing, or where you see like a great skill. Like you just see, if there's something really exciting, no matter if you love piano or love drumming or love dancing, no matter if that's your interest, watching anyone excel at something is very captivating. And in this movie, you have this, the central character is just undeniably amazing at what he does.
Yeah.
And whether you like BMX or not, it's just fun to watch someone rise above and be so good at something. So anyway.
Yeah, and it definitely, I feel like if it didn't encapsulate like the feeling of the 80s, it definitely became the feeling of what you wanted to see. If you go back to watch 80s movies, you want that feeling of the overcome and the you know, fighting against the whatever's coming against you, you know, you can succeed. But when this movie was shot, Talia, was there any indication that this movie was going to become this cult classic that it's become?
You know, Robert knows more about this, but the cult movie is fascinating because it refuses to die. You know, I cannot tell you what it was like when the movie opened, and, you know, Jack and I were waiting to hear how many people went to see, whatever that may be, whatever disappointment we may have had. And we went around and we took the movie everywhere with the young writers. You know, they would perform in the back of alleyways behind drugstores, and we'd say, "See, Rat." But it saddened us, but there was something about this movie that had a life force. You know, it just had a pulse. And maybe that's what a cult movie is. It's something that says, I'm alive and I'm going to live. I'm not perfect, I'm not there, but I'm alive. And that's, to me, what Rad has in essence. It has this great beating heart. So, I mean, I'm sure Jack would agree with me, but that's what's fascinating about certain movies, imperfect, whatever they may be, but they come together at a moment in time, and they're alive. So here we go again.
Yeah, I mean, and also, I don't know if anyone goes into making something saying, let's go make a cult classic.
Right.
Let's go make, like, it's kind of just, it happens. You can't, I always thought it was funny because when I worked mostly in music, and record label executives would say, you need to go make a viral video. Like that was the way, like, if you want to have a hit, you should go make a viral video. And I was like, wait, like, what are you talking about? Like, viral videos just seem to happen. Like, you can't, if everyone tried to make a viral video, then wouldn't everything be the same? Like a cult movie, I don't know if everyone went into this movie, and I was too young to know this, but I'm just guessing that no one was like, yeah, let's make sure this movie's a cult movie. I think naturally over time, it just found an audience in a really organic way. You know, this movie wasn't some studio crazy movie that had like gazillions of dollars and they were just like buying eyeballs. This movie was like almost independent in a way. Like it was looking for an audience, and word of mouth is the strongest marketing you could ever do. People, you can't buy word of mouth. Word of mouth it's completely organic.
And it works. There's
Right.
something about a telepathic thing between people that find movies,
Yeah.
that discover a work of art or an old short story. And that's very curious to me why that happens. It's almost mystical. you
Oh,
know.
for sure. So I'm gonna go into a little bit of with Utopia. So if I'm correct, Utopia, you co-founded Utopia in 2019, and
Yeah.
I know that there's a filmmaker's first approach to it. Can you tell us a little bit about what went into it and why it felt necessary to co-found this production company?
Yeah, I came out of working on directing movies. I started directing features, and I made a movie that came. My latest is called The Unicorn, and people can stream it on Hulu.
And it's wonderful.
Yes.
So, you know.
And there's a new movie called The Argument coming out in September, which we'll announce soon. But I just announced it. But the I wanted to get involved in distribution from the experiences I've had as a filmmaker, feeling that distribution is broken and that we need to figure out new ways to reinvent and define what distribution is in today's market. I just felt like filmmakers weren't really getting taken care of by the companies that were acquiring their movies.
Right.
And I think it's important to be sensitive to what goes into making a movie on the other side of it, on the release process. And I think that the team behind Utopia is very collaborative and creative and looks to the filmmakers to dictate the campaign. A lot of companies that are in distribution, it's a numbers game and it's a quantity over quality business. But the world of distribution, the tools are right in front of us. We just have to figure out a way to connect everything and change the experience of distribution to really complement the sort of artists behind films. And I think that we're not signing gazillions of movies, but we're taking on a really good amount of projects. And we have a really qualified team that come from different companies that have years of experience that came to Utopia because they saw our mentality was different and it really spoke to them as what they wanted to get behind as far as in this industry. But yeah, anyway, it's fun to be out in the marketplace acquiring movies and helping filmmakers because there's a lot of movies that get left behind that are really worthy of distribution. And it's sad, it really is frustrating for filmmakers today because a lot of films are overlooked because they don't meet the sort of mandate of the certain companies and quotas and audience and marketing potential.
Okay.
Anyway, we are a filmmaker first company because we are all about finding quality films and bringing them to audiences in unique ways and not just jamming them out there, but creating materials and marketing assets that allow for an extension of the identity of the film. And it's really simple. I mean, honestly, it's simple, but it's unique based on the current marketplace.
Right.
I don't think what we're doing is completely innovative, but I think the way we're approaching it is innovative. And I think, we never started Utopia to try to put Rad out, but I just think naturally it seemed to make sense, that Rad is a family film in terms of our family, and we didn't want to just hand it over to some other company that we didn't have a real connection to. And there were other companies out there that were interested, but it didn't make sense based on having a more customized approach to the distribution process for this title. And it gives, my mom and everybody flexibility to understand really what are we trying to achieve. And we're not just kind of throwing it to some other company. Because again, it's my dad was involved in the movie and we as a family maintain the title all these years. So it's important to us that we keep a hands-on approach. Anyway, so it just seemed like the stars aligned and Utopia, I think is really helping, audiences discover Rad all over again in a way that's appropriate for this film.
Yeah, and I took a look of the films that are on there, and I appreciate the approach because I love film, and a lot of the movies that I review, they're never the ones that, or rarely are they the huge box office hits. They're the ones that are the hidden gems that
Exactly.
you tell your friends about. You're like, yo, you got to see this movie, and you're like, oh, I've never heard of you. Like, I'm telling you, it's probably the best movie I've seen. And then they get pleasantly surprised. So I definitely think people like myself appreciate the filmmaker's first approach because they're the ones making the art. So why not let them have the reins to really show people what the film is and can be?
Exactly. And the only way, by the way, to help, keep filmmaking and independently minded filmmakers out there is by having companies like Utopia exist and make a point to celebrate those films. Or else, what else is there? Like, it's, you know what I mean?
But a little, just if I have a little context, way back, because film is, what, 100 years old now, something like that. It's still very young. But in the old days, when they were saying, oh, what is this thing? Those movie studios, those factories that were here in Hollywood, also owned the theaters. So they had a natural distribution. You made, each movie studio made 50 movies a year.
Okay.
They put them into the whatever, make $1 million, whatever it was, then they'd make the next round. So it was very clear. And then, of course, came monopolies, and so they were not allowed to do that. Now, today, we're beginning to rethink distribution. Does it really need a theatrical release to go into the world? You could see it on a plane, in a hotel, so on a clip on your phone. So it's very exciting. I'm too old for this, okay? So, but the idea that you can make something here between us and it can have a life and not just be killed is really very exciting to me. So,
Yeah.
Robert, very supportive.
I know, I appreciate the question, and I'm very excited about it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because it's like I said, I think it's a very special thing. And then I also saw that you have a streaming service that's attached to it.
So Altavod is a new platform. It's a direct-to-consumer distribution platform for filmmakers. It's a way, because when you put a movie on iTunes, and by the way, I use iTunes every night when I eat dinner and rent a movie. So I love Amazon. I use iTunes, Amazon, Google Play, Fandango Now. All that stuff is great.
Disney. Right.
The only thing that is, if there's any filmmakers here watching who've made a movie, what you know or might not know is that you have to go through either a distributor or an aggregator to be on iTunes. There are a lot of hurdles, and it takes about 3 to 4 months of lead time to put your movie on there. And they have certain pricing models you have to hit.
Right.
You're not guaranteed visibility for discovery because, all the movies on the platform are the big hits.
Right.
So that's just the nature of the beast. And I think we wanted to create a platform that would allow filmmakers to distribute directly to audiences without having to go through an aggregator. So you can onboard your movie yourself by just making an account, and you can make your movie available for sale, and people can start renting it or buying it directly from you. So it's basically a complete direct-to-fan way of selling movies, and there's no lead time. You can put it on tonight. So, and also the best part of all is that you collect the data from who's coming to watch your movie.
Right.
Because the most important thing is knowing how to remarket back to your audience.
Okay.
And, to stay in touch.
Right.
With iTunes, they don't report any data. They just give you your sales.
Okay.
And also those platforms take 30 to 40% off the top. Whereas Altavod takes a 9%. It's a 91-9 split to filmmakers. And you get access to all the analytics of who's visiting your page. And if people rent your movie or buy it, you can email back to them and thank them or bring your next movie to them. Anyway, it's just a way to give filmmakers the power to become their own distribution companies, to self-distribute, just like the music industry. Because if you look at it, major labels started losing their leverage over artists because people could make their own albums and sell it themselves. So I'm just saying that's the world we're going into with film, and we want to be there to support sort of that next phase. So Altavod is launching this summer, but right now it's live with certain movie titles, a la carte. Like Rad is on there for rental. And also there was a great interview with the Lonely Island's Yorma from the Lonely Island, the comedy group.
Right.
He interviewed all the Rad cast members, and you can watch that on Altavod.
Oh, okay. And
you can't get it anywhere else. So anyway, it's a way to create a more special.
I've got to tell you this, because Robert, years ago, I was doing this with Jack, but it's like, wow, what has happened with distribution? This is really evolutionary. the idea, because you know, the cost and the value are very separate things. It's very costly to make a movie.
Right.
It's not like Picasso has 3 yards of canvas. It's, oh my God, I made a movie, but how? So this is really very exciting. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
yeah, if I was a young filmmaker, you know.
Yeah, it's definitely, you seem to be on the forefront and leading the way to what is possibly the future of film, especially independent film.
Independent, yeah.
But since I'm running out of time,
Oh God.
uh, is there, and this is a great conversation, I love it. Is there
You
anything
love
else?
movies. I see you love we love. I'm a movie lover, so
Yeah,
I can see you are too.
yeah, oh, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Is there anything else that you guys want to add before we wrap it up?
Mom, you want to go first, or I can?
No. Look. I'm very excited because this is very personal. What's happening here with Rad, and also, it's wonderful to see it this way, and so I'm really very excited. So that's all I have to say. I want to be a good mother and say.
And what I'll say is,
I'll tell you, it's
first of
tough
all,
to be a mother, you know. Okay.
we're happy to be here. Thank you for having us
Thank
and
you.
to talk about Rad. We are very excited for everybody at home who's going to watch it. And I'll just shout out some of the dates coming up. So this Friday, which is, I'm not sure if this will be available yet for everybody, but on July 10th, the movie will be available on Altavod for 2 weeks, and you can get, it's the special edition version of Rad. So go to altavod.com. The direct link is altavod.com, altavod.com/content/rad, and you can rent it. And then in 2 weeks after that, we're going to go to iTunes and Amazon and all those places. So on July 24th, you can then watch it on those other platforms if you choose. And then we hope to be able to be in theaters next spring if the world comes back and we can go out safely in public.
And it will, everybody. It will.
And then
Be back, right?
It will. And anyway, so there's more news, but just stay in touch on our socials. Rad, the Rad Movies, our Instagram, and you can follow me, Robert Schwartzman, on Instagram. Anyway, but thank you so much, and we're so happy to be back with Rad. We really appreciate it.
Thank you very, very much for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. And make sure you support Altavod and support Utopia, and everybody go, and to make sure we get great films and not just the billion-dollar box office ones. Because a lot of the better ones I've seen are the independent films.
That's right.
So thank you again, Robert Schwartzman, Talia.
Thank you.
So which one do you go by, Schwartzman or Shire?
I just go by Shire. That was my professional name, or Mom, but that's okay. Forget it. Don't go there.
So again, thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining us,
Thank
and
you.
hopefully we can talk again.
Awesome, definitely. Thanks for having us.
Interview. Thank you.
Have a great day.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Take care.